The following contains mature content. You've been warned.
From Wondery, I'm Mark Ramsey, and this is part 5 of Inside Jaws. November 6, 1968, Litchfield, Connecticut. Charles Butler McKay III was 70 years old. He had the energy and the health of a man half his age. He had spent the day alone. He had drained the pool for the winter, he played bridge, he went duck hunting on nearby Bantam Lake. His hair was silver, but he had a young man's eyes. Gentle, piercing, blue eyes. Eyes you could trust. He waved as a neighbor drove by. He knew all his neighbors, and they all knew him. Hiya, Chance. Hiya, fella. Let's go for a walk. Charles Butler McKay was retired Navy. During World War II, he commanded a cruiser. He was captain. As he walked through the woods with his dog Chance, he thought about those long ago days and the nightmares that haunted him ever since. More than once, he'd awaken in a cold sweat, gripping the bed like it was sinking into the ocean. By his bed, a night table. On top, a Bible. He'd read it every night. Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die." Inside the table, bound with a rubber band, dozens of letters from the sailors he commanded and their families. Those letters always troubled him, especially at this time of year with Christmas near. Charles Butler McKay stood alone on his front step, dressed, as always, in a pressed khaki shirt and pants, a proud echo of his wartime uniform. He reached down to pick up what fell from his keychain. It was a metal toy sailor, a memento of happier days, a childhood gift. He rubbed it in his fingers. He always did that, for good luck. He looked up at the U.S. flag hanging from his house, the stars and stripes. With his right hand, he gave that flag a crisp salute. There were tears in his eyes. His mouth trembled. In his left hand, a Navy issue .38 revolver. The shot exploded into one side of his head and out the other. The pool of blood surrounded him, drowning him in it. Charles Butler McKay was a survivor of the worst naval disaster at sea in U.S. history. In the early morning hours of July 30, 1945, his ship was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine. 300 men were killed instantly. 900 others were abandoned in the blackness of the vast Philippine Sea, 350 miles from land. It took 4 days for the Navy to learn of his ship's sinking. 900 went into the sea. Only 300 survived. 600 died. Many drowned, and many others were eaten alive. His ship was the USS Indianapolis, and the men were eaten alive by sharks. Inside Jaws is pleased to have Audible as its presenting sponsor. What's even better than sunscreen when you're laying on the beach this summer? Audible, that's what. It's the perfect sidekick for all your summer activities. That's why we worked with our friends at Audible to create a summer hearing list. This week we're recommending Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. Look, listening is the best way to binge content you love, and when Inside Jaws is over, Audible has you covered with the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet. Everything you want to listen to in one place. Go to audible.com/jaws or text JAWS to 500-500 to get started. Amazon Prime members can get Audible for just $4.95 a month for the first 3 months. That's like getting 3 months for the price of one. That's a lot of hearing for almost nothing. After that, it's only $14.95 a month. This offer ends July 31st, 2018. That's audible.com/jaws, audible.com/jaws, or text JAWS to 500-500. July 29, 1945. The USS Indianapolis had just completed a secret mission. She had delivered a crate. Inside it, a bomb that would change the future forever in the skies over the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The Indy was a formidable vessel, but it had no sonar gear, no depth charges. Detecting enemy subs was left to the destroyers, their escorts. But there were no escorts available. They were set to travel 1,300 miles in perilous waters, and the Indy and its crew of 1,200 men would do it alone. It had been just another day at sea. Now it was just another night. The men distracted themselves with music or books or games or letters to sweethearts thousands of miles away. Hey, Becker, what you reading? Call it Courage. By Armstrong Sperry. Looks like a kid's book. Ah, go to hell. What's it about? Well, this kid Moftu is afraid of the sea. But he's the son of a courageous Polynesian chief, so everyone called him a coward. Eventually, he couldn't stand it no more, so he went off in a canoe with his pet dog. He had to face a vicious storm and a deadly desert island, but he overcame these challenges. His courage grew, and against all the odds, he finally returned home. Nice. The ordeal, it made him stronger, and it brought him home. July 30, 1945, 12:03 a.m. The crew asleep. Lieutenant Commander K.C. Moore was on deck, the night's watch. 12:04 a.m. The Indy slicing through the ocean alone. Lieutenant Commander Moore scanned the horizon. Nothing. There was only a sliver of a moon on that night. It was hard to see anything, hard to hear anything. Not until it got too close to react, too close to do anything but hold on. 12:05 a.m. It was on the starboard side, one torpedo with enough firepower to take out a city block. 65 feet of the bow vanished. Men were thrown 20 feet in the air. Their ears were ringing. Midship, a gas tank exploded, and the sea was now on fire. The bulkhead was red hot. Fire belched from the smokestack. The second torpedo hit the engine room. 12:06 a.m. The ship had been lifted from the sea. Her bow was gone. She was taking on water fast. The ship was listing starboard. 2 minutes, that's all, and 100 men were drowned, blown apart, or burned to death. XO, distress signal. Captain, there's no radio. It's all been blown to hell. Pass the word to abandon ship. Sir. The ship rumbled and groaned as it bent and broke. The Indy was going down. Let's get those life rafts into the water. There were 35 life rafts on board the Indianapolis. Only 12 made it into the water, and those had few provisions. Men jumped for their lives. They jumped from the sinking ship directly into a spreading spew of black oil leaking from the hull. The sticky oil was poison, and they couldn't help swallowing it as they paddled to survive. (12:17 a.m.) 12 minutes after the horrific experience began. The USS Indianapolis vanished under the sea. 300 men were dead. 900 more were clinging to survival in the water. And that is when the ordeal began. Let's level with each other. You hate brushing your teeth, don't you? I know you do, because I hate brushing my teeth. In fact, I've stayed up later than I should some nights because I don't want to brush my teeth. Well, all that changed with Quip. Now I go home and I have my Quip. What is Quip? Quip is the affordable, sleek, new electric toothbrush that makes it easy for you to keep up with the simple habits that will improve your oral health. They do this by offering a subscription plan that refreshes your brush on a dentist-recommended schedule, delivering new brush heads every 3 months for just $5, and that includes free shipping worldwide. I'll tell you, my brushing habits have become a no-brainer with Quip. Thanks to Quip's built-in timer, I know how long I need to... You think you know how long you need to brush? You don't know how long you need to brush. It's longer than you think, but Quip makes it easy. Quip's actually fun, and get this, after you use Quip, your mouth feels cleaner. Your mouth will never feel cleaner than it does after you use Quip. And then a new brush head comes in the mail. I replace it. It's easy. It's simple. I don't even have to think about it. And guess what? It works. You can't ask for more than that. Quip starts at just $25. And if you go to getquip.com/jaws right now, you'll get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush. This is a good deal. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/jaws, spelled getquip.com/jaws. I'll bet Dick Zanuck and David Brown wish they had ZipRecruiter when they were looking for a director to helm Jaws. I mean, let's begin with looking for a guy who knows the difference between a shark and a whale. Let's just start there. Look, hiring is hard. It's challenging. If you're hiring, there is one place you can go where it's simple, fast, and smart. ZipRecruiter.com/jaws. ZipRecruiter sends your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, but they don't stop there. With their powerful matching technology, ZipRecruiter scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience and invite them to apply to your job. They will know the difference between a shark and a whale. As applications come in, ZipRecruiter analyzes each one and spotlights the top candidates so you never miss a great match. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. With results like that, it's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the highest-rated hiring site in America. And right now, listeners of Inside Jaws can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Jaws. Don't forget the Jaws. That's ZipRecruiter.com/JAWS. ZipRecruiter.com/Jaws. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. April 14, 1974. About 3 weeks before shooting begins on Jaws. Carl Gottlieb is watering his petunias outside his home in L.A. They tolerate the heat, these petunias, but you have to keep watering them. Hello?
Carl, it's Steven Spielberg. Listen, I'm in Boston, and I need you to come out here today.
Steven, it's Sunday.
I need a writer who can fly out on a Sunday, Carl, and I also need you.
Gottlieb had met Spielberg back when they shared an agent in 1968. They became fast friends. Spielberg went on to direct, while Gottlieb, who was trained in improv, focused on writing. He had worked on The Odd Couple and the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, among others. Gottlieb knew Spielberg was unhappy with the early drafts of Jaws. He knew this call was coming.
Carl, we have 3 drafts from Benchley, but they're still not right. We've got a mob subplot and an affair. It all has to go. I need you to eviscerate this. We have 3 weeks before production begins. How soon can you get out here?
Well, I can check on flights tomorrow, Steven.
How soon today, Carl?
I'm watering my plants.
Carl, I'll water your plants every day for the rest of your life if you get on a plane today.
That did it. Carl Gottlieb was on a plane to Boston, where he had a date with destiny, a great white shark, and one of the most arduous film shoots in Hollywood history. April 20, 1974. Just over 2 weeks before shooting. That shark looked great on the table in the workroom. There it was being prepared for its first exposure to the open sea. George, come on in. Am I supposed to be in here now, Steve? Steven Spielberg has a guest in town, his old friend, George Lucas. It's my picture, you can be in here. I want to show you Bruce. Bruce? Yeah, I named him after my lawyer. Steve, this looks fantastic. George Lucas was staring at what would ultimately weigh 12 tons and require a crew of 15 people to operate. How does it work? Well, it's cool. It's fully articulated. But listen, the coolest thing is the mouth. With these switches, I can make the jaws open and close. Oh my God, that is so cool. If I put my head in his mouth, will you take a picture? Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very, very funny. Very, very funny. Okay, open his mouth so I can get my head out, please. Steve, I'm trying. It's not working. What do you mean it's not working? Maybe I should try kicking it. Don't kick it. I'm stuck in its mouth, Steven. Well, I can't leave you here. You're damn right you can't leave me here. I'm George. I'm sure it's perfectly safe. Steven, that's easy for you to say. You're not locked inside a shark's jaws. There's always a chainsaw. Steve, it's my head. I'm kidding, George. Panic had set in, for George Lucas at least. Spielberg pried open the shark's jaws to free his friend. I'm sure I broke this. We have got to get out of here. Not soon enough for me. April 1974. Ron and Valerie Taylor knew great white sharks up close. Zanuck and Brown had hired the Taylors for some second-unit shark footage. Real sharks, real danger. Among the shots Spielberg wanted was footage of a shark circling a man in an underwater cage. To make the local great white sharks look even bigger, Richard Dreyfuss would be stunt doubled by a 4'9" ex-jockey named Carl Rizzo. I'm ready. Rizzo was about to climb into a diving cage. The cage would be lowered into the murky deep from a 19-foot fiberglass auxiliary boat. It was routine. The sea was swollen with sharks. Life imitates art. A great white shark had just attacked the auxiliary boat, the one attached to the diving cage, but not just attacked it. Valerie Taylor later wrote, "A huge head rose above the spray, twisting and turning, black maw gaping in a frenzy of rage and pain. Triangular teeth splintered as they tore the restricting metal. The brute dove, his tail whipping the air 6 feet above the surface." Ron Taylor pulled Rizzo back just as he stepped into the cage, but not before the shark's tail brushed his face. They watched as the cage, the winch, and the boat vanished into the sea, dragged down into a boiling, foaming swirl. One more step, one moment sooner, and Carl Rizzo would be dead. Rizzo stared calmly out over the ocean. He turned and walked into the hold of the ship. And locked himself in the toilet. "Carl, buddy, you've been in there for 2 hours. I'm not coming out." It was the opening sequence of Jaws, the first moment we feel the awesome destructive power of a killer great white shark. Stuntwoman Susan Backlini is naked, treading water. From below, we see a shark's eye view. I think that footage is overexposed. Carl, what do you think? There's nothing in that footage that isn't overexposed, Stephen. From the shark's perspective, in that light, you could see way too much of Susan Backlini naked. We'll print it dark to keep the scene from being so educational. I didn't think we were making that kind of movie, Stephen. The truth is, Spielberg didn't know what kind of movie he was making. That's because every day brought new surprises and new challenges. He had taken to calling the movie Flaws, and Bruce the Shark was the great white turd. At night, he'd pretend to sleep until he finally felt like he had. The shark was not working. The shark was never working. That meant every day when something like this. Carl, do you have the new pages? Screenwriter Carl Gottlieb was living with Spielberg on location, and it's a good thing he was. Here they are, Stephen. New pages every day. Everything changed again. Spielberg reviewed them over tea, then off to the location.
The shark is not working.
Again, time to improvise. Bring out the yellow barrels.
That's it for today.
Carl, new pages? Right here, Stephen.
The shark is not working.
Barrels.
That's it for today. The shark is not working. 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 The shark not working. The shark not working. The shark not working.
Jaws was being written and rewritten every day. It was being directed with constant improvisation. Every day was a surprise, and surprises mean delays. The thrifty 55-day shoot was a dim memory. It was stretching to 70, 80, 90, 120 days. It was still shooting after 150 days. And the budget was exploding. This was making the money men in the Black Tower at Universal anxious. Spielberg was close to being fired. The production was close to being shut down. In his bed at night, Steven Spielberg wished for a moment of peace from the nightmare of an ocean shoot that simply would not end. Please let me go to sleep. He put celery in his pillowcase. Maybe the aroma would calm him. When sleep came, so did the dream, the same one every night. He was always drowning. And as he sank to the bottom, he'd see a giant shark approaching. With menacing speed, it reached him. And then, its eyes would cross and roll up into its head. Its mouth would hang limp, and it would twist over harmlessly on its side and float away. Even in his dreams, the shark was not working. But the end was in sight. The end of shooting Jaws and the beginning of a phenomenon that changed the world. That's next time on Inside Jaws. From Wondery, this is a 7-part deep dive inspired by the story behind an unforgettable classic movie. This has been part 5 of Inside Jaws. Written and narrated by Mark Ramsey. Audio design and production by Jeff Schmidt. Produced by Mark Ramsey Media. Executive producers Marshall Louis and Hernan Lopez for Wondery. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, NPR One, Spotify, Wondery.com, or wherever you're listening right now. If you like what you're hearing, we'd love you to give us a 5-star rating and review us. And be sure to tell your friends and show them how to subscribe. Find a link to subscribe to Inside Jaws and more information on the episode notes. Just tap or swipe over the cover art. You'll also see some offers from our sponsors. Please support this show by supporting them. If you'd like to hear more of Inside Jaws and other Wondery shows, in addition to extra content, early access, and exclusive perks, you can subscribe to Wondery Plus. Go to Wondery.com/plus. That's Plus. For more information and to comment on this show, visit our website, Wondery.com/InsideJaws. Tweet us at InsideJaws. Inside Jaws is pleased to have Audible as its presenting sponsor. Remember we told you about our summer hearing list crafted with our friends at Audible? Well, here's my pick for this week once again, Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. You've probably heard of Neil Gaiman, The Sandman, American Gods, Coraline. These are all the work of Neil Gaiman, the renowned and prolific English writer of fantasy and science fiction. Well, Norse Mythology is one of his latest. It's a dramatic and evocative retelling of myths that movies like Thor touch on, but this is the real deal, folks. And you get to hear it read by Neil Gaiman himself. Now, if you've never spent an hour or two listening to his lyrical English baritone, then do I have a treat for you. So while others on the beach are trying to read paperbacks covered in sand, just close your eyes and let Neil Gaiman into your head. Skip the sand, go for the Sandman. Go to audible.com/Jaws or text Jaws to 500-500 to get started. Amazon Prime members can get Audible for just $4.95 a month for the first 3 months. That's like getting 3 months for the price of one. After that, it's only $14.95 a month. This offer ends July 31st, 2018, so do not wait. Set yourself up now with Audible's unmatched selection of audiobooks that will keep you entertained all summer long. That's audible.com/Jaws, audible.com/Jaws, or text Jaws to 500-500. You're going gonna need a bigger boat.